remember that we are in the holy presence of God, and let us adore Him. Hello everyone, it is great to have the opportunity to have a time of prayer with you again. So take a moment, a deep breath, and prepare yourself to open your heart and your mind to whatever God is trying to tell you today. Our inspiration for today's prayer is the Gospel of Matthew. But rather than focusing on what he wrote, I would like us to focus on who he was. Just like us, Matthew didn't start his life as a saint. In fact, he was a normal and sometimes even boring person. He was a tax collector, and being a tax collector meant that he was working for the Roman Empire. He had to collect money from people that owned to the empire. So you can imagine that he wasn't liked. He wasn't popular, especially around those that Jesus desperately wanted to reach out to. And sometimes this feeling can be familiar. We can feel lonely, left out, forgotten, not liked. But all those feelings only brings us closer to Matthew and his experience. So Matthew had a tax collector reputation. The reputation of making people believe they owned more money than they actually did, and then keeping the rest. He was seen as a sinner, as a liar. And all of this is Matthew's second characteristic that we can relate with. We're flawed. We make mistakes. And we have things that we aren't proud of. But even then, just like Matthew was, we are all called to become disciples too. Even when Matthew wasn't liked, when people usually didn't talk to him, Jesus still chose him to become a disciple. So if you think of your flaws, if sometimes you don't feel worthy or good enough, if you feel left out, that's okay. But you have to know that God still loves you, still wants you to become a disciple. He's calling you to follow Him. But you know what? He doesn't stop there. He doesn't stop in accepting our flaws. He looks deeper into our hearts and minds. In Matthew 13:52 he says, "Therefore, every scribe who has become a disciple of the kingdom of heaven is like a head of a household who brings out of his treasure things new and old." Brings out of his treasure things new and old. Yes, you see flaws. But God also looks at your talents and abilities. He knows what you're good at, what you enjoy. In Matthew's case, the old being those abilities that he acquired as a tax collector, such gifts for accuracy and organization, and the new being everything he learned from Jesus' teachings, which ended up with Matthew writing a book that bears his name. So next time Jesus calls you to do something great, don't doubt yourself. Don't make yourself smaller. Be like Matthew. Be brave and say yes, and follow him. And you'll become what you've always meant to be. You'll be transformed into the best version of yourself, bringing out both things, new and old. Dear Lord, I do have flaws. I make mistakes. I feel alone and sometimes lost. Help me see your light in my life. Help me hear you calling me. Call me for who I am, accepting who I am now, but also knowing who I can be. Help me identify my gifts and talents, so that I too can become your disciple. Leave Jesus in our hearts forever.